The poor man's Bentley Bentayga. That's what everyone is calling the all-new 2021 Genesis GV80. And in this segment, we don't normally talk about a premium luxury crossover, especially at the price point around $60,000. And yet, here I am taking a look at the flagship for the Genesis brand when it comes to the crossover lineup. And earlier this week, I had taken a look at the GV70, and I can tell you this right now. Even though from the exterior they might look the same, they're two completely different vehicles. Now, when it comes to being successful in the luxury crossover market, you have to have a nice balance between being performance-oriented and also refined as well. And BMW, Audi, and Mercedes-Benz have set the bar pretty high. Even though we might put those brands on a pedestal, the sales figures don't lie. Americans love German vehicles. Now, even Acura and Lexus have done a phenomenal job throughout the years, being very successful with their lineup of crossovers, while also undercutting the Germans when it comes to pricing. But when it comes to performance, that's where it all falls apart. Now, for Genesis, they're going to be seen as a niche manufacturer, going up against Volvo specifically, who is all about safety, refinement, and quality. And we're going to find out if you actually need performance to be successful. And that's why I'm taking a look at the Genesis GV80, because it just might be a standout in this market. Now, before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout and thank you to Genesis of Arlington in Arlington, Massachusetts, for allowing me to do this review. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Genesis inventory. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right in this review. How we define the term luxury in 2021 is far different than in the 20th century, where extremely soft suspension, plush leather seats, state-of-the-art features, classy styling, and possibly a brand's heritage were all taken into account before consumers went to their local dealers. But today, luxury manufacturers put a lot of emphasis on technology and performance due to the digitalized world we live in, and also the competitive nature when it comes to horsepower figures. Soft touch padding and upscale interiors are aspects often reserved for premium brands or vehicles around $100,000, making crossovers like the BMW X5 or Mercedes-Benz GLE appear to be mid-level luxury rather than being SUVs that younger consumers aspire to own. The Genesis GV80 is trying to change how we perceive this market, while attempting to return to the glory days of automotive design and attainable luxury for consumers on stricter budgets. Starting off with pricing, our model for this review is a GV80 Advanced Plus, which comes in at $65,550. And by going with this trim, third row seating will come standard to make this crossover more family friendly. Obviously, you can go with just 2 rows, which will likely be the smarter option if you're strictly looking for exceptional practicality and a good amount of interior room. For those wondering what segment the GV80 competes in, this crossover is without a doubt a mid-size SUV that is identical in size to the BMW X5, Mercedes-Benz GLE, and Volvo XC90. Recently, we had taken a look at the Genesis GV70, and there is no mistaking the two, as not only is there a major size discrepancy, but driving dynamics and interior comfort will differ quite a bit. When it comes to off-road capability, the GV80 has a respectable 8.1 inches of ground clearance, which is more than enough to tackle unplowed streets during the winter. Appearance is everything for this crossover, however, as styling for this particular segment has become stale. We've waited a long time for something refreshing, and that's where the Genesis GV80 excites us the most, as the exterior design is not what you'd expect for a non-European brand. The catchphrase, "the poor man's Bentley Bentayga," has been thrown around quite a bit when referring to Genesis's flagship crossover, and despite that being a bold statement, the classy front fascia with an almost retro style has certainly garnered attention. The extended front hood is a design element we don't see anymore outside of grand tours, and with the quad LED headlights, massive grille, and complete lack of plastic cladding, the GV80 has a premium luxury presence and aura that is non-existent for many vehicles. Then when we take a look at the side profile, what normally would be just an aesthetic feature for a brand like Maserati is where secondary turn signal indicators are placed. And with the subtle chrome accents, it doesn't make the GV80 appear to be cheap. By going with the Advanced Plus, this trim will come equipped with 20-inch wheels, but if you were to offer the Prestige package, the GV80 will have the upgraded 22s. You'll have power folding body color side mirrors to go along with blind spot detection for added safety. Coming around to the back, you're met with an aesthetically similar rear fascia to up front, as Genesis' signature quad LED taillights gives the final third of the GV80 a classy look. While the sharper body lines do draw attention, everything is blended in nicely, including the gloss black accents that surround the dual exhaust outlets. It's from this angle where the GV80 really has that premium luxury design quality to it, as you don't have sport-back C-pillars, and there's nothing performance-inspiring about the road presence, and that's reflected with the driving characteristics and handling, which we'll experience during the test drive. Under the hood, our GV80 in this review is powered by a 3.5-liter twin-turbocharged V6 engine that puts out 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque, and is paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is the same powertrain that is available on the smaller GV70. However, the GV80 manages the performance differently, and rather than being thrown back in your seat during accelerations, there's a smoother transition through the gears, and there's a better sense of luxury and refinement than the athletic and spry GV70. By opting for the 3.5, all-wheel drive will come standard, but rear-wheel drive is available for models powered by the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. For fuel economy, you can expect to receive right around 18 miles per gallon in the city and 23 miles per gallon on the highway. Stepping inside, you get by a welcoming and upscale interior with a wide center console and clean dashboard design. Adding to the comfort and upscale feel will be power adjustable heated and ventilated leather seats for both the driver and passenger, with the driver's side being 2-position memory for added convenience. Now, since we don't have the Prestige trim for this review, there won't be a full digital gauge cluster. However, the 8-inch information display will be home to a variety of useful data. And for enhanced safety, there will be blind spot cameras which will activate when you use the turn signals. Also equipped on the Advanced Plus is a head-up display to help keep your eyes on the road. Then moving over to the infotainment system, just like we experienced with the GV70, your eyes will be laser focused on the massive 14.5-inch screen, with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto compatibility to go along with onboard navigation and a 21-speaker Lexicon audio system to give you the sounds of nature to help set the mood during longer drives if you prefer to not listen to music. Thanks to the sound system, if all 3 rows are occupied, you can use the passenger talk feature to amplify your voice so kids all the way in the back can hear you loud and clear. Also from this head unit, you can actually fold the 3rd row seats up or down with the press of a button, making the GV80 one of the most family-friendly and practical crossovers we've come across in this price range. While this user interface does function as a touchscreen, there will be quick access buttons found just above your climate control settings, and you'll also have a rotary dial and touchpad found in the center console to quickly get you to different menus without having to reach to use the screen. It's here where there'll be physical buttons for the home and menu screens, along with the volume and tuning dials. To help you park the GV80, you'll have a variety of camera angles to choose from, including a 360-degree 3D camera to ensure that you don't get yourself into trouble when maneuvering this crossover in tight spots. Below, you'll find the buttons and dials for your dual-zone climate control and front and rear defrosters. Adding to the already luxurious interior, you'll have a smaller touchscreen for your heated and ventilated seats, heated steering wheel, and airflow. As we return to the center console, you have 2 USB inputs and a wireless phone charging pad. And found closer to the passenger seat will be the dial for the drive mode selector and buttons for the park assist features and hill descent control. For the center storage compartment, there'll be enough room for smaller items. And rounding out the front seating area, above will be a massive panoramic sunroof to let in a lot of natural light to the interior. Now for passengers in the back, we're going to start off on the passenger side, and this seat is adjusted most of the way back. It's also on a recline, and I still have a few inches of legroom to work with here. Now most likely you're not going to have someone over the height of 6 feet tall in front of you, so I think that if you are average sized, you're going to be just fine. Also, there's going to be plenty of room for smaller kids as well. Now a few things I want to point out. One is headroom, and you have plenty of it even with this massive panoramic sunroof. Now, you would think that having a lower roofline, because the GV80 still has somewhat of a low roofline, they will be sacrificing a bit when it comes to interior room, but not at all. In fact, you have plenty of it. But even better, you can just sit back, relax, and recline and enjoy the driving experience as a passenger. And I can tell you this, I would love to have the ability to sit in the second row on a longer drive. It would be very comfortable. These leather seats are really enjoyable to sit in, and this is what premium luxury is all about, especially when you're not paying that premium luxury price. Now, let's move over to the center seat, and there are some good placements for my feet. Now, obviously, this seat being adjusted most of the way back is going to be a bit of an issue, and it's affecting my legroom. However, if this seat was adjusted further up, I would be just fine. Now, there are a few things that is standing out to me here, is that the center hump isn't that aggressive at all. However, shoulder room. I was actually expecting a little bit more shoulder room. I think if you had 3 kids back here, they're going to be just fine, but average-sized adults, it might be a bit of a squeeze. So that is a bit of a surprise to me, experiencing the GV80 for the first time. Then, on the driver's side, this seat is adjusted to someone around the height of 5'8", and I have a good amount of legroom to work with here. And the fact that you can slide them forwards and backwards while also reclining, that's pretty amazing. And that's what makes the driving experience as a passenger very enjoyable. Also back here, you will have 2 rear air vents to go along with climate control back here, to go along with 3-level heated outboard seats, 2 USB inputs, a 3-pronged outlet, and rounding out the rear seating area, you do get a center armrest with 2 cup holders. Now for the third row seating situation, we're going to simulate this the best we can. Obviously, it was not pretty getting inside the third row at all. So this seat, we're going to adjust it back. Obviously, it's not at its normal setting, but I do have a few inches of legroom to work with here. Obviously, you really can't tell from this angle, but it's not that bad. I've been in worse, especially for vehicles that don't normally have a third row or have an optional third row. Now, one thing that does stand out to me is the fact that these third row seats are cushioned. They have leather seats. And also, you're not sitting on the floor, which is great, because some of these vehicles that have an optional third row seat, you have cheap materials and it's not the most comfortable at all. So if you have 2 kids back here, they're going to be just fine. But when it comes to average size adults, not at all. Now, you will have cup holders on either side of this 3-row area. You also have the ability to fold the backs so you can move them forwards and backwards. But I would obviously have them all the way back, just because I'd rather be comfortable back here if I'm forced to sit in the third row. But most likely, though, you're going to have taller passengers in the second row and have very small kids in the third row. It's just not going to be conducive for a family that would normally buy a 3-row SUV. So definitely keep that in mind, and as I've said before, I would recommend going with a 2-row version just because you can have better practicality and more cargo space. Now, coming around to the back, you're going to receive a power liftgate. And inside, behind the third row seats, you're going to have right around 11.5 cubic feet of room, which is not a whole heck of a lot. I was able to fit both my camera bags, my gimbal box, and I think I could have squeezed in my tripod. Now, you're not going to have a lot of cargo room to work with. You're not going to be putting luggage back here if you do have those third row seats up. And that's why I say to go with the 2-row version, because you have a lot more practicality. And with the third row seats folded, you're going to have right on 34 cubic feet of rear cargo space, which is on par and slightly better than the BMW X5 and the Mercedes-Benz GLE 350, which is pretty impressive just because you have a lower roofline and yet you still have that practicality. That is amazing to see. Then with the second row seats folded, that space is more than double in size to over 80 cubic feet of room. So that's why if you are cross-shopping the GV70 with the GV80, because there is some price overlapping, you're going to want to go with the GV80. It's more family-friendly, family-oriented, and you're going to be able to fit a lot of luggage back here if you aren't using those third row seats. So I would say you could fit probably around 4 to 5 bags of luggage if you are going on a road trip with the family. And I gotta be honest, after driving this vehicle earlier in the day, it is very comfortable and most certainly a road trip crossover. Also not equipped on this model, we will have a rear cargo cover, which will keep all your valuable items out of sight. So if you are like me and you have camera gear with you or anything of value, you can leave them back here and have that peace of mind knowing that no one will be able to peek in and steal what you have. And the only reason why it's not installed is because we do have those third row seats for this particular model. And then once you're done, just press the button and the liftgate will close automatically. Now, having driven the GV80 around for about 10 minutes or so, I have noticed a complete difference compared to the GV70 that we recently featured on the channel. And even though we have the exact same engine under the hood, the GV80 manages that performance far differently. And what you're going to notice is that when it comes to accelerations, it does hold back a bit, but it's more linear compared to the GV70. So the GV70 with the 3.5 is going to really put you back in your seat. You're going to have that sports car feel. Whereas the GV80 is all luxury and class all the time. Now, I have driven by a few country clubs, and I found it really fitting to find this similarity with the GV80, where if Genesis came out in the 90s, there would be commercials of three older gentlemen walking out after playing a round of golf. And there would be the BMW owner and the Mercedes-Benz owner, and they'd be like, "What is that vehicle?" And the other guy would be like, "That's my Genesis GV80." And there'd be that smug fashion to him, that where he'd be smiling and smirking as he's on some winding back roads. And there's that level of upper class to the GV80. That's why I think we look at it as being the Bentley Bentayga for the masses, because it's all luxurious. The way it's laid out, the interior, you have the soft touch padding on the dashboard, which we didn't have with the GV70. But also, it's an embodiment of what luxury crossovers or luxury vehicles used to be 20, 25 years ago. And we don't have that anymore. You have BMW, Audi, and even Mercedes-Benz, where they try injecting a sense of sports car DNA to their mid-size crossovers. And you get this really fake feeling of aggressive style, even for a vehicle that most people are not going to be driving aggressively at all. It doesn't have sports tuned suspension, doesn't have the performance to back it up. And even with the BMW X5, just a standard X5, it's going to have that lower center of gravity. It's going to have that tight steering. And maybe for people who are looking for that sports car feel, they're going to love it. But if you're somebody who is looking for a family-oriented crossover that is luxurious all the time, that's comfortable for you and your family, then the GV80 is going to be that. It's going to be that rival to the Mercedes-Benz GLE, but also I think it's a very close competitor to the Volvo XC90. Now, what you are going to notice with the interior quality and refinement is that you have plenty of shoulder room. So it's a much bigger vehicle than the GV70 if you are looking at both vehicles, because price overlaps are going to happen. But when it comes to front vision, you have plenty of it. However, the hood does extend out, and that is very unique to the Genesis brand. So in my opinion, and we don't see this in the United States, it's really specific for Europe, is that Genesis is like a coach building company where they turn a vehicle that isn't necessarily luxurious and they make it something unique and special. Now, I'm not saying that the GV80 is like a Hyundai Palisade, but it's definitely better than Hyundai products. It definitely stands out for sure. And you have that sense of quality. It's totally worth paying around $66,000, and that's why it is a premium luxury crossover for the masses. So let's get on the highway pretty quickly here. I want to see how it manages that performance. So it is linear. You're not going to get thrown back in your seat. So that's why it's all luxury all the time. So if you're looking for that style of driving, that's exactly what the GV80 is going to offer. It's also going to be quicker than the Mercedes-Benz GLE. So if you're looking for that performance, it's going to be the way to go at this price point. Now, when it comes to seating position, you do sit pretty high up in the GV80, and it makes you feel as though you're sitting in a full-size crossover rather than a mid-size. Now, of course, when it comes to that third row, as we already demonstrated, it is going to be a bit tight. And as you can tell, the safety systems do kick in, even though there was no lines there. So it's a very safe crossover. And that's what I think really stands out here, is that it's luxurious, it's safe, but also it has some decent performance. Obviously, if you're looking for that aggressive styling, tight steering, you're going to want to go with AMG M or probably an SQ7. But if you're looking for a crossover that resembles a Bentley Bentayga, or maybe even a underpowered version of a Aston Martin DBX, this is what it's going to be. This is what you're going to want to go with. But it's a very soft crossover. It goes over the horrible New England roads very nicely, and you don't really hear the road noise at all either. So it's just a very well refined, very quiet and comfortable vehicle that if you are going on longer road trips, this is the crossover you're going to want to do it in. Now when it comes to the cornering ability, you feel the body roll immediately. This is not a crossover you're going to be taking on mountain roads or winding back roads very aggressively. This is more for that person who's looking for a refined driving experience, one who's looking to make a bold appearance and entrance as they pull up to the valet. That's why I look at Genesis as being the brand that really Cadillac wishes they could be right now, especially where I think a lot of brands are being pressured to go in this performance direction, where they're going with that tight steering, they're going for that fake feel of performance, whereas Genesis doesn't have to be pressured to do that. They can give you a nice, comfortable driving experience. They can give you that Bentley Bentayga style. They can give you that class that you're looking for. And even though journalists will say that Genesis is targeting a niche market, I think they're going to be very successful doing that. When you look at the sales figures so far for the first full year for the GV80, they're on pace to do over 20,000 in sales. And when you look at the price range with the Volvo XC90, the Volvo XC90 sells around 30,000. So that's not bad for a first model year. And that's why I think the Genesis is going to do pretty well in this market. They're standing out. They're not trying to be like BMW, Audi, or Mercedes-Benz. They're not trying to be like Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and Jaguar, where they're trying to give you that performance feel, and they'll cut back on the technology and the luxury aspect. Whereas when it comes to the luxury aspect for the GV80, it's really nice. The way it's designed, it's classy, it's sophisticated. I love the button layout. I love the infotainment system. Also like the balance of technology and that analog gauge as well. And even though we have more of that mid-level trim, we're not going to get that full digital gauge cluster. I think this is going to do very well for people who are still looking for that old school style. And I get this all the time in the comment section. It's not old school style. Yeah, it is. It totally is. And a lot of people right now, even millennials that are getting up there in age, around 40 years old, they're going to like the technology more than the old school style. That's what they're used to. They're used to touching, iPads and iPhones, and they don't really care for the analog stuff. They're not really caring for the buttons. However, getting to those buttons, though, is that the way they feel, it's nice and premium. It's what you expect from Aston Martin or Bentley. That's what it is. It also is what you experience with Mercedes-Benz as well. And just the way this whole vehicle feels overall is just a step above the non-German brands. And that's why if you're looking for straight up luxury, and also, to me, a striking road presence and styling, then Genesis is going to be the way for you, whether it's a GV70 or GV80. Obviously, with the GV80, it's going to be more family-friendly, more practical as well. It's also going to be more on the softer side, so it's not going to be that aggressive crossover. It's not going to be what the GV70 is. And actually, that helps this lineup really differentiate themselves from everyone else as well, because the X3 is a baby X5, the X5 is a baby X7, whereas the GV70 and the GV80 are really two different vehicles. Even though they have similar layouts when it comes to the interior, they have two different styles to them, and I can appreciate that, especially when it comes to interior styling, when it comes to performance, everything is all the same now. I like that Genesis is standing out. So at the end of the day, does the Genesis GV80 live up to the hype? Is it the poor man's Bentley Bentayga? Well, I think when it comes to luxury, it certainly stands out in its segment as the BMW X5, Audi Q7, and depending on what trim you go with for the Mercedes-Benz GLE, you're going to have more of this sports car-like quality. Now, I do think the Genesis GV80 pairs up very well with the Mercedes-Benz GLE 350, especially when you look at both vehicles really focusing on luxury, whereas BMW and Audi are trying to redefine the term luxury in the early 2020s, as BMW is going to give you tighter steering, a lower center of gravity with the X5, and then Audi is drawing you in with eye candy with the technology, whereas Genesis is still giving you this somewhat old school style where you still have an analog gauge on the left and then you have digital display on the right. And as I said during the test drive, some people are not going to like the fact that I'm bringing up that it is old school, but I do think that people are going to appreciate that. I also like the center console, the button layout, very cleanly designed. Also, when it comes to that luxury aspect, these seats provide a good amount of support. They're also bolstered pretty nicely as well. And also you have soft touch padding on the dashboard and armrests, and that's going to stand out for sure, especially if you want straight up luxury. Now, this would be very comparable to the Volvo XC90, and Genesis is on their way to taking market share from Volvo. And even though journalists have said that Genesis is really focusing on a niche market, I wouldn't read too much into that, just because I think the Genesis GV80 is exactly what consumers in the price range around $60,000 are looking for. You want to make a bold appearance as you're driving by down city streets. You want to have that level of sophistication and class without paying over $100,000, and that's exactly what the Genesis GV80 is providing. Now, also, you probably noticed I did not put the GV80 in sport mode during the test drive, and that's because it really doesn't change up the driving dynamics that much. So you don't get that tighter steering, you don't really get a more aggressive suspension feel, and the engine does perk up a bit, but that's basically it. So if you're looking for more of an aggressive and athletic driving crossover, go with the GV70. If you're looking for luxury and refinement, quality, interior space, and a vehicle that's more family friendly, then go with the GV80. Also, if you're looking for vehicles outside of Germany, the Volvo XC90 will be a perfect competitor to the Genesis GV80, but the difference here is that I think Genesis stands out just because the suspension is actually softer. I think the seating position is more comfortable. Also, I like the layout of the infotainment system and the dashboard as well. As you guys know, the infotainment system found in new Volvos is very difficult to navigate and get used to, whereas this is second nature because you can use it as a touchscreen or use the rotary dial and touchpad or the quick access buttons. So that's what I would suggest, is that if you are cross-shopping both, take a good long look. But I think Genesis is offering a nice balance of luxury and technology, and it does that very well. Also, if you're looking at a Mercedes-Benz GLE 350, I think the Genesis GV80 should also be on your radar as well, just because the interior quality is pretty much on par with Mercedes-Benz, but it's not going to give you that sports car feel that we see with the BMW X5 and even the technology aspect like we see with the Audi Q7. So certainly keep all of that in mind, but I think the Genesis GV80 is a winner. It's already being successful so far. A lot of people are looking at these crossovers. Even during my time here at the dealership, everyone wants to test one out. So that's a good sign moving forward for this brand. And I think, even though journalists say that this is a niche market, I don't think so. I think it's a growing market. I think people are looking for luxury and class without paying over $100,000. That's exactly what Genesis is offering here. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Boston Autoblog so you can see what I'm up to and what vehicles I'll be featuring in the future. And I will see you guys next time.